Welcome everyone to the official Super Carlin Brothers full spoiler review of Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Spoiler review.
Yes.
As in spoilers. Jay, I'm so excited to talk about this.
Oh, I know. Like, we saw it and then immediately, like, just went home and we didn't get to talk about it. And then it was Tyler's wedding and there was, like, I saw it and then we saw it again and still didn't get to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be the first, like, real big full discussion we've had. And I have so much to say.
So much to say. So let's just dive on in.
We've seen it twice. So let's just right out of the bat, the overall impression, and I feel like I haven't read any reviews, but the chatter I'm hearing is
mixed.
Very
mixed. So I think the general idea of what my perception of what everybody else is seeing is that it is technically a good movie. Like, if you are not applying the rest of the Star Wars universe to it, it's a very good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think complaints are coming from Star Wars fans directly.
Interesting. Okay, so you think, like, the general public who's not, like, the big savvy Star Wars fan is like, great! And then the people who are, like, really in the thick of it are like, well, that you give me...
Yes.
Okay.
And so where I stand on that is that I really liked the movie, but I have harsh criticisms of it.
Okay, I think I'm gonna be right there with you. I really like it. I don't think it's a bad Star Wars movie. Even the things I have harsh criticisms of, I don't even hate the things themselves. I just feel like the execution or what was poor.
Okay, sure.
And we'll get into that a little bit more, and you'll see what I mean.
Yes, yeah. I'm curious to hear more.
Yes, but so let's dive right in. Let's go right after the gate. Opening crawl, I felt was pretty strong.
Yeah,
wasn't it? Yeah.
Opening crawl was good. It seemed shorter. I don't know if it was or not.
No, it's always just the three little paragraphs.
Okay. Yep. So it wasn't like 14-point font or something. Maybe slightly larger characters.
There. No, I thought it was good. I liked it. It seemed like my first thought was you end The Force Awakens with, like, Starkiller Base just being destroyed, the biggest, like, weapon ever, and it just seems like the First Order has suffered zero from it.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like
what was the point?
Yeah, Starkiller Base clearly was not like like what was making them powerful.
Right.
They seem to already have so much control over the galaxy. You see that the Rebel Alliance or the Resistance, I guess, is
down to, like, one base.
A very minimal, a very small collective group of people.
I think they
one fleet left.
They start the movie with 400 remaining, like, known Resistance members, and end with everyone in the Resistance can fit on the Millennium Falcon.
On the Millennium Falcon, which I actually think is very cool, because it's like, talk about the spark. They kept saying that line.
Yes, they do. They really hammer down the spark that will light the fire, and... Yeah.
Right, yeah. So, whenever they were saying that, they were not yet the spark.
Right.
At the end of the movie, they are the spark. I think 400 is after the initial bombing run. So, like, right out of the gate, we have this, like, space battle that's happening with the bombers.
Loved the space battle right out of the gate.
Pretty cool.
They open on Poe again. He is, oh man, I love it. I don't know. I feel like every time they want to demonstrate how good of a flyer Poe is, I'm like, they're just going to make it corny, and it's just going to be like, oh, look, we can animate him to look so good. And it's like, he seems like he's taking down mindless TIE fighters, so what's the point? But they always do such a good job.
Oh my gosh.
He does that, like, flip around, X-Wing I was like, what? That was so cool!
They did such a good job of, like, almost the acting for the people in the back row with that. Like, where it was like, you can know nothing at all about flying and know what he did was just, like, defying all odds.
Right.
It was like, yes!
That was great.
I also liked when he kicks it, like, into, it's obviously not light speed, but, like, some version of, like, hyperdrive or whatever.
To, like, get close in.
Yeah. Yes. I thought that was cool, and, like, him and BB-8 both, like, back in their chairs.
They say that's interesting that they have such, like, a whoosh thing, because, like, when they make that jump to hyperspace, everyone's just like, whoop. Well, shouldn't that be kind of like, whoosh?
No, that's so fast that you actually come around to the point where you're actually sitting still again.
Right, sure, it comes full circle. This was, like, only half circle.
Right.
Yeah.
So this movie was funnier than most Star Wars movies.
It was.
What do you think about the Poe call? It reminded me a lot of that initial interaction you see with Poe and
Kylo Ren.
Where it's who talks first, and then he does the same thing to Hux, where he's like doing the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I thought it was hilarious because it, like, I think some people had a problem with Poe being like, funny with Kylo Ren as like the first like big interaction in The Force Awakens, but like I thought it was really funny then, and I think this is just like the fact that he does it again makes that moment even more okay, because like this is just Poe. He is just this cocky, arrogant, funny guy. Oh my gosh, he is so messing with Hux too.
Oh my gosh, so
like,
true.
Like I was laughing. I thought it was great. I don't know if other people. What I didn't think maybe was as great was the overall like punching bagification of Hux. You know what I mean?
Yes, this is a situation where you've got this guy who obviously is like a very young age, but is like leading this entire army, and it's like you would never have like Grand Moff Tarkin disrespected like that,
right?
Ever. He would have any of those people executed on the spot,
right?
You know, for any type of belittling of his character, and so it is a little bit odd, or like a juxtaposition of this guy who is clearly in
juxtaposition.
A juxtaposition, if you will. Yeah, that was really good.
Thank you.
Of this character though, who has obviously like earned his way to extreme power. Like if you were to watch the General Hux story, like he doesn't just fall into that position. He is clearly like
I'm sure that he'll have his own novel at some point.
Right, that kind of like explains his backstory.
Like he is the one like who's telling Snoke like he has had a team or someone figure out how to track the through hyperspace, which is like a huge problem for everyone involved.
Okay.
And Snoke doesn't even know about it. He like tells him afterwards, and he's like, "Well done." And everyone continues to just be like, "You suck."
Right.
And just like throw him around.
There was a slight issue with that the way they set up that scene though, in that you can tell Hux is very nervous for this call with Snoke when he is ahead of the curve already. Like you would think when Snoke popped on, he's like, "Don't worry, I got you."
Yeah,
like I know this looks bad, but it's not bad.
Right. That's true. I didn't even think about that, but they do that with them, with Snoke and Hux, and they do it again with Holdo and Poe.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about. There's like 3 big new characters. One was Holdo, one was Rose, and one was DJ.
Yes.
So, I think I'm saying her name right. Holdo, right?
You know, honestly, I kept not catching it. It might we'll call her Holdo.
We're gonna call her Holdo. Purple hair takes over for Leia.
Some people are cringing, but
I know.
We'll get through it.
There were other things I was paying attention to. Okay, so we're gonna talk about Leia, I'm sure, a lot. But Holdo takes over and appears to start making what to Poe seems like bad decisions.
Right.
And I feel like my problem, and it's later revealed she's making good decisions that are going to save everyone on board. And what I hated about that is there's no reason not to tell Poe. Like there's no reason not to tell the entire ship.
The movie is doing it constantly. And what they're doing is painting this idea of like it's almost like DJ's mantra. It's like there is no good and bad. It's like you have created these terms for who you associate with. Both people think they're good and both people are doing bad things. Like that's what it boils down to. And so I think what the movie is attempting to do to you throughout all of those scenes is make you wonder, like, is Poe sort of like this like pure, solid, maybe cocky and arrogant, but like pure all the same character, and then you've got this other like more like hierarchy related position that is making questionable decisions.
Or is Poe the one being questionable because he's not following the hierarchy?
Or that. Yeah. So it's really,
you're right. It does. That's the big theme.
Is they're trying to make you like, is Luke good? Is Luke bad? They're going to show you like all of the different flashback scenes to how him and Kylo Ren had their falling out, and it's like you see the first one and you're like, oh, okay, and then you see the second one and like Luke is terrifying and you're like, I got chills both times I saw the one where Luke is just like dark and like, you know, Holdo.
Holdo.
Okay.
I literally thought you were holding up a sign that said "hold," like, like wait for it. I mean, you need to adjust something.
Right.
I was trying to be unintrusive.
No, it's all
Fine.
good.
We got it right.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, so they keep doing the same thing where you see like Luke's story and then you see Kylo's story and you're like, oh my god, Luke's actually bad. He's manipulating Rey, and then it's like, or is Kylo manipulating Rey? And so that's obviously a theme throughout the movies.
You see it with Finn and Rose, where like Finn is trying to leave, not to escape the Resistance, but to make sure that Rey has a safe rendezvous point.
Right.
But Rose is like, you are escaping the Resistance, and my sister just died bombing a ship.
Right.
Like, you are a terrible person. And then, you know, they go to the casino, and Rose, you know, Finn's like, this place is great. And she's like, oh, it's full of slavers and, you know, terrible people. Okay, I feel like there's so many angles I want to go at here.
Well, and
there's so much to talk about.
It's so funny, because my mind keeps jumping. It's like, what do we want to go to next? But that's even part of this movie is you go to many different scenes. Like, there is a lot of things happening.
Yes. It occurred to me, a lot of the movie is spent with, like, the Resistance trying to escape that bombardment from the First Order.
Right.
And, like, I was like, man, we spent a long time here. And I was like, I feel like the end of the movie is going to be them escaping. But then, like, I kept remembering the trailer. I was like, oh, wait. We still have that whole battle on the planet with the red sand and the stuff like that. That still hasn't happened.
Right.
And we're not even there yet.
Right.
Like, I can't wait for that. That's going to be cool, but man, it has taken a while.
Right.
So I will say the movie does some dragging at some point.
Right. A little bit slow, and I think that you and I both agreed on this one, but the entire casino scene was a bit long-winded.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the casino. I feel like this is there's two, I think, big scenes that I think, I'm guessing, because again, I haven't read any reviews, that are the thorn in people's sides of this movie. And I think one of them is the casino, because one, it's long. My problem with it, I'll talk about what I didn't like first, and then I'll talk about what I like.
Okay.
But so, what I didn't like was that it is not different enough from a regular casino. Like, it looked like Vegas with aliens, you know? And, like, white tables instead of green. But it's like, come on. Like, you telling me in this Star Wars galaxy...
Gambling is exactly the same.
Gambling is still slot machines, dice, and cards? Come on. Like, come on. You can do better than that, Star Wars. Like, I want it to be... gambling I've never heard of. Or, you know, like... The chess game, you know, or like augmented in some way, and it just didn't look like they had even the poker chips. It just it didn't look different enough. I didn't like it.
It's true, and what's interesting about this scene, and it's something that I know I am aware of, but like never actively noticed. But that scene exists in basically every Star Wars movie. It's like you have it in the cantina.
Cantina. You have. Oh my gosh, we're about to dip into something I really didn't like. You have Maz's castle.
You have Maz's castle in Return of the Jedi. You have Jabba's.
Yeah.
You know.
Jabba's hut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's break on Maz real quick.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Maz was just one of my favorite characters ever in The Force Awakens. I was like, yes, they have done. Who is this character? I have so many questions about her and where she came from. She's been alive forever, and she's got this cool place, and she knows everybody.
And she is like the perfect blend of like Force aware, but also kind of scoundrel.
Right.
But also has lived for 1,000 years.
Right.
So it's like her bank of. Yeah, Maz presents so much opportunity as a character,
and she is just shoehorned into this movie in the most annoying way. Like, Poe didn't even talk to her in the last movie, and he's like the one who kind of calls her, and it looks like they've got this back and forth, and, you know, it's like, did they know each other? And the whole time they're talking, Maz is just in the middle of a firefight.
Right.
Like, what is she doing? And she says, union dispute. And you're like, what? What? Union? You're like...
Are we throwing another political faction into Star Wars?
I know,
because we have too many.
I know, like, I did not... And, like, since when is she, like, great with all the blasters and stuff? And in the middle of it, she just has time to casually explain where they can meet a very specific need and where he's probably going to be. And I just, like... The treatment of Maz in the movie I did not like. It felt forced. I didn't like it.
Forced.
Yeah, it felt forced. Pun not intended. but
They're all
the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Maz was a little bit of like a disappointment in terms of like her role in the movie. But like so let's go on to maybe something like a little bit more substantial then. Let's talk Luke.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, hold on. I didn't say what I liked about the casino scene yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We'll go back to that. What I liked about the scene is like the message that it sent, which was like one. It's explained a lot through the DJ character, but it's like that. That there's no, again, this is the same theme, that there's no good side, bad side. When he's going through like the war profiting, it's like, oh, this guy sells to the bad guys, or to the good guys, and it's like, someone's still making money off of it. It's all a machine. It's all a machine.
Yeah, no, and DJ's character was one that like we knew so little about going into, but that was a character that I thought was brilliantly executed in so many ways. I thought Benicio del Toro did fantastic.
Yeah. Standout performance.
It was it was definitely really strong. And I liked the way that they were doing the not force-related light and dark, almost just this in general, how everybody has kind of got this blend of good and bad.
Right. Well, it was very, like, it was very representative of, like, the whole, like, Clone War side of things, where it's like, oh, it looks like there's good and bad, but guess what? One bad guy's pulling the strings for the whole thing.
Right.
And that's sort of like the same thing. It's like, oh, there's good and bad, but look, there's this entire casino full of people who are making money off you idiots fighting each other.
Right. There are people benefiting from the war just happening.
Oh, this is just a minor gripe. I really felt like there was a solid opportunity for some sort of Count Dooku reference at the casino, because that was his lifestyle. He was very rich, high class.
Well, so yeah, then it's curious that you would point that out, because that's something where maybe we can go freeze frame, shot by shot.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe there was.
Maybe he's in there somewhere, but that would
he
be.
Can't be. He's dead. But
no, of course, but like
a reference,
some type of like I know
symbol.
that there is a bust in the Jedi library. Is that the right term? Would that be the right location for it? Of him, because he was one of like the fallen Jedi that sort of like turned away. Okay. So that would be an interesting thing to see, like artifact into the back. Would be that bust.
It would. Okay, but you wanted to talk about Luke.
Okay, I feel like we got to get to the meat and potatoes of the whole conversation.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about Rey yet. Okay, so there's a couple things with Luke. There's like Luke and Rey. There is Luke and Kylo. There's just what he's been doing on Ahch-To. I loved when he re-meets R2. That was adorable.
Yeah.
And R2 like cons him into not cons him, just like plays the old recording for him.
Okay, so we can start with Luke and R2 then, because that it's funny. That was an interesting scene where almost the entire plot of the movie is set into motion thanks to R2-D2.
A little bit, yeah. Luke is not really being very helpful at all until he has his encounter with R2.
And then it's like that was something where it was almost like it's cool because R2 is no longer just a droid to the Star Wars universe. Like, he obviously, like, he is a character with influence, with power. And it almost goes back to that idea of how the more powerful dark side of characters in movies and stories oftentimes underestimate the lowly. So it's cool to see R2 having so much influence. But I also feel like there's a small part of me that doesn't feel like that should have been what did it.
Oh, I was okay with it. I mean, it was cool. You can say R2 did it, but kind of like Leia also did it, because it's like her recording.
Sure.
And that was the only mention of Obi-Wan in the whole movie.
Right.
Which was sort of a bummer. But in any case, yeah, Luke, they build you up in The Force Awakens for that big meeting between him and Rey, and on the one hand, it's like a little disappointing that he just sort of like throws the lightsaber away and is nonchalant about it. But he does a good job of like doing it in such a way that you just know he's just fallen out of touch with the Jedi Order.
See, I have to disagree, because to me that moment was like, do you know what a balloon sounds like when you let the air out of it?
Yeah.
That's what happened to me.
Oh, it was Luke Skywalker?
It was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I could not believe it. And, like, throughout the past several months while we've been researching this movie and trying to, like, figure out as much as we possibly could, I've watched a lot of interviews with Mark Hamill, and that was one of the moments, and there were a few of them in the movie where I lost the suspension of disbelief, where I saw Mark Hamill. And I was like, that I can see him doing that shot. Like I was like, oh, I bet they had to do it like 6 times to get the perfect toss over the shoulder. Like I left the movie
while that
happened.
That is a bummer.
So that was not a moment to me that I thought was symbolic, representative, anything. It was you don't throw a lightsaber like I don't know. I had a gripe with that, but
fair enough.
Otherwise, Luke's situation was kind of interesting because like you definitely think of him kind of being in this isolation state on Ahch-To.
Yeah.
But he's not totally isolated.
Like, there's other beings there.
Yes.
It was almost annoying because, like, I wanted there to be a lot of, like, Luke training Rey and, like, taking it seriously. And even when he does train her, he's, like, trying to dissuade her from the Jedi Order by teaching her in a specific way. And I was okay with that because it fits in with the bigger theme of the movie. It's like Luke has recognized the hypocrisy of the Jedi, and I loved when he tells Rey to reach out to the Force. Well, they'll think Rey slaps her hand. It's really funny. Like, reach out. You feel that? That's the Force. And that to me was like that's not how the Force works. Moment of this movie.
Yes.
And she's like, I feel it. Oh my god. Yeah, that was great. But I love the way she like really feels it moving between everything, and then Luke's like, do you feel that? For the Jedi to say that belongs to them only is like vanity. I was like, that is a really, like, that really makes sense. And like that when he said it that way, I was like, yeah, I wouldn't have thought that the Jedi thought the Force belonged to only them. But in a way, it's kind of like they only want to train people to use the Force their way, and they don't want other people using it.
Yeah,
really.
It's honestly very fascinating because it like on screen starts to call into question really like the actions of the Jedi. So I think coming into it, all of us were sort of under the belief that like, okay, we're gonna see some type of new version of what we previously called Jedi. So it won't be a Jedi anymore. It will now be Rey's secret potion of ability to
ideals and Force manipulation.
Exactly. And so I think what we really found out throughout this movie is that it's not like the Jedi way is wrong, it's that it had slowly gotten corrupted. And like so Luke starts explaining like how do you explain the Jedi at the peak of their power allowing, the Emperor to rise through the ranks and miss it altogether?
I will tell you how. And I thought I'm just kind of thinking about it as we're talking about it, which is I'm glad I finally have someone to talk to. He mentions that. He says, at the height of their power, they let Darth Sidious rise to power and wipe them out. Oh my gosh, then when you cut over to Snoke, he says, I knew as your power grew, your equal would grow on the light side. Okay. And I was like Snoke anticipated that happening, knew it was like a part of the Force that was going to happen.
Right, that's an interesting interpretation of the Force.
So like it makes you wonder, did Darth Sidious, was like, the very fact that the Jedi was at the height of its power allow him to be so powerful?
Interesting. Right, so like it's going to be met with equal opposition.
Like, guess what? The Jedi Order is massive and huge and powerful, and there's like one dark side user, so...
I mean, it completely makes sense, and it gives more credence to the ideals of the Sith, where there can only be two. There can only be the Master and the Apprentice.
Right.
It's like, there are all of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And
they're like,
two of us.
If the Sith knew that secret, that like, guess what? We know the dark side can corrupt you, and that's why there's only 2 of us, okay?
Right.
And if there's so many of us, it's going to be disorder, but... we'll let the light side grow its power, and the Force will accommodate us appropriately.
It's very true, yeah, because they will want it to balance. So it's a very interesting concept altogether, and it's something I have always questioned about Star Wars as a whole. Is we always talk about this bring balance to the Force, but what on earth does that even mean?
Right. I think we started to get a little more clarity on that.
Sure. And yeah, thanks to Snoke. So can we talk Snoke? Are we there?
Let's do it. Let's talk Snoke. Man,
he was smaller but then still bigger than expected.
You know, like he wasn't some giant, like his holograms would have you believe.
Right, but he is still a larger
being than physically than you might have expected.
Right.
Insanely powerful with the Force.
Yes.
Insanely powerful. Really arrogant.
Well, in that
Fatally so.
fatally arrogant. That again kind of goes back to the trope of underestimating your opposition.
Oh, I'm glad you brought up that particular line. The whole scene with Rey and Snoke and Kylo Ren right there. I mean, I think everyone was expecting this movie to have like all the beats and rhymes with Empire. It had a lot of Return of the Jedi. Like that whole scene was almost like like word for word at times.
Fulfill your destiny.
Fulfill your destiny. I mean, he literally has like Rey stare out the window at a battle they're losing. She literally tries to pull the lightsaber from next to him to strike him down.
It is the chamber scene from
the Emperor tells Vader to kill Luke, and he tells Kylo to kill Rey, and then Kylo kills Snoke, and Vader kills the Emperor. I mean, it's like it is the end of Return of the Jedi.
It is. It is. Which is very interesting
because they put it in the second movie.
They put it in the second movie,
right.
So really the next one will be like a whole new ball
who knows
game
what's happening anymore
altogether.
Mm-hmm.
I loved this. It was my favorite scene from the whole movie was basically Snoke's death, and then the moment when Rey and Kylo go back to back and start fighting the Praetorian
Guards.
That was just. I thought all of it was awesome.
Yes.
I thought the way that like even as they have him kill Snoke and Snoke is like looking into Kylo's mind and he's seeing this conviction and he knows who the enemy is and he knows that he can kill him.
It's like he can see the ideas but not like the specifics, and I feel like it really so much of that scene I think is a lot more about Kylo Ren, and like he knows Snoke can see all of this, and so he has to be thinking very carefully and acting with like a mirror.
Right.
He's like, I see you focusing on your true enemy, and like in Snoke's mind, he thinks that means Rey.
Right.
Like Kylo knows that like focus on my enemy, don't think who. And like he's like lift the lightsaber, so he has to like do both at the same time.
Right.
Oh, it was like very, very well done. And then even in this fight scene, the Praetorian Guards, seeing them fight, that was great because Emperor Palpatine had those red-clad guards. He never got to see them do anything. It was like, are they imposing? Are they good? Are they just royal looking? If they were anything like these guys, they were ready to go.
Ready to go. But like the way, like obviously I think what we're seeing is like Rey and Kylo being slightly overpowered like by the multitude of them. But the way that they kept cleverly beating them. There's one where Rey drops her lightsaber, goes under the guy's arm and pulls it up and that
was great.
Dropping the lightsaber was awesome, and the then tossing it to Kylo, and he's right here, and just boom.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
It was so fast. There couldn't be more than one frame of lightsaber.
If that. Yeah, that was a really great one. That whole scene in particular, it's not like, oh, that was the big lightsaber fight, so that's why I feel like that's the little boy answer. I feel like, because I feel like they did it right because there's so much more happening between the characters.
Yes.
Than just the fight, which also happens to be awesome.
Okay.
But like you see like Kylo really concerned about Rey.
Right.
And you get to see like a full strength Kylo Ren.
Right.
At work. Because like in the last movie, even when he's like hunting Rey, he's not trying to kill her. I mean, you see him kind of fight Finn and Rey, but he's like injured.
Right.
This is healed Kylo Ren against advanced, superior, trained troops.
Right.
And, Rey is over there losing to one. He has time to look over while he knocks one out, looks around, see he has three more, and is like, okay, let's do this.
Right. You can see the difference in their training.
Like, at this point, even though Rey won the last fight between them, here she is, clearly just not as refined to a, like, well-healed Kylo Ren, who successfully takes down his three and, helps her out.
Right. Yeah, so you definitely get to see a bit of that. So then, following that scene, though, you see this conversation that I feel like was really, like, a critical moment in the movie between Kylo basically, like, suggesting, why don't we let everything fall and then kind of come together and be like, that voice of reason.
That was very Empire Strikes Backsy.
Yes, yeah.
Join me, Luke.
Right.
Together we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
And that one is almost like, again, word for word, where
Yeah.
he's like suggesting the same idea to Rey. Honestly, especially the way the movie is going, and at that point on the first pass, you don't know that like Holdo is also making good decisions and all of that. So you're sort of calling into question the intentions of just everyone. In the moment on the first pass of the movie, I'm like, I don't hate this idea.
Oh,
Like the Resistance is almost done. Snoke is dead. You know, now it's you. Like you two can together like take down the First Order. It sort of doesn't seem like the worst plan. Right.
Although you just wonder about Kylo's intention, or maybe at that moment you don't know about his intentions because it seems like he's made this big you think he's made this big like revelation to join forces with Rey, but really what he's done is seize power. And you don't know that like until that moment. I'm not even sure if he knows it until like he's sort of looking at the throne and looking at Rey, and it's like he decides on power.
The question is, what is Kylo's trajectory if she agrees? Is it different?
That's true.
Because I think, so I know that there has been like the whole question of will there be like a potential like love story arc, and I guess we still don't know, and I don't think that there necessarily should be, but it offered more of the idea in this movie that there could potentially be that storyline between Rey and Kylo.
They give you like one minor little bit of sexual tension between them when their minds are bridged and his shirt is off.
Right.
Which I feel like part of that, there was two scenes where I feel like I could see Adam Driver's agent in the scene, like off camera. And one was like, we are going to destroy that mask, okay? I want my boy's face on camera
screen
as much as possible. And but so like him destroying the mask and Snoke calling it ridiculous, which was funny, but it's like he's had the mask forever. Why are you just telling him now? You know, and then when he had his shirt off, it's like, I want Adam shirtless in this movie, okay?
People need to know he's actually rich.
Yeah, okay. Which he is.
Yep.
Oh man.
And Rey's response, what is that? Do you have a cowl or something you can put on?
Yeah. That was really funny. I think I loved the scenes where their minds are bridged. It was, I thought very much of Rey's story arc has to do with Kylo Ren in this movie, which was great, except that so little of it had to do with, like, her time on Ahch-To was almost more spent with Kylo than it was with Luke.
Very much so.
You know?
Very much so.
And that was a little disappointing, because I think that's what I've been, like, looking forward to so much.
Well, and that's the thing, is that they never really show you a Jedi being trained. And maybe it's because it's, like, doing push-ups and running laps with a small puppet in your back or something. Like,
right.
But you have the same issue, and, like, the first trilogy runs into this a little bit, where, like, the entire course of the movies take place over, like,
a day?
Yeah, like 3 days or something, and you see, like, Luke spend what seems like an afternoon training with Yoda.
Yeah. They sort of, like, present it to you as if he was there for, like, a couple months, but, like, when you think about it, it's like, that morning he left Hoth with Han and Leia. Since then, they have spent, like, a couple hours on an asteroid and are now in trouble at Cloud City.
Right.
You know, like, you weren't there that long, Luke.
Right, yeah. So everything kind of happens in very, very rapid time succession. So again, it's like you still don't really see Luke train Rey in any type of way that would be like, oh, that's how they get so powerful.
Yeah. Although, clearly, there is some way. Yoda is force powering from beyond the grave.
That was, yeah, okay, so we can talk Yoda then.
Okay, let's talk Yoda.
Yoda was a prediction I think we had.
I think we both said Yoda and Obi-Wan would appear.
Yes.
But then only Yoda appears.
Right.
I was okay with him appearing in the movie. His actual physical appearance didn't look like Yoda. Am I wrong?
I had the same exact feeling as I did in Rogue One when you see Darth Vader with, like, his neck piece is like,
oh, right.
It looked like it was plastic or something. It was like, well, that's where's the chain? Isn't there supposed to be like something else happening there? And it didn't look quite right. And that was the thing with Yoda is they went back to a puppet with it,
which is good.
Which was
good. like chubby or something.
A little chubby Yoda. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you're just so used to seeing him like starving Yoda on Dagobah or something. But like even Coruscant Yoda was like pretty skinny.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it seemed like an odd representation of him. I thought it was cool that he was there, and clearly he had not visited Luke during his time. That Luke was very closed off from the Force, so I guess he probably couldn't even have visited.
Maybe.
So okay, when Yoda destroys the tree, does he already know that the books are not inside of it?
That is a good question. I think yes.
You think yes?
I think he does. Although he definitely doesn't want Luke to know that.
He definitely doesn't want Luke to know that.
I think he makes fun of the books too, which is funny.
Okay,
but
yeah.
We haven't seen Yoda with much of a sense of humor.
Yes,
for the most part. He has a few jokes.
I wrote that down where I think I said, did Yoda just say page turner? And I was like,
page turners, they were not.
Does that seem like something Yoda would say?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I thought that. I probably had overall mixed feelings about Yoda. I was excited to see him in there. I thought the puppet seemed a little bit off, and the ability to like strike lightning on the tree.
Mm-hmm. So the thought on that, it's interesting that he could do it from beyond the grave, which is crazy. Seems like, whoa, you're still pretty powerful, dude.
Right.
To strike the lightning. That being said, there is precedent for weather control in Star Wars Rebels, the TV show.
Okay.
Like the rebel base there, it happens to be nearby this like it's sort of like a big creature, probably as big as this room, but he like talks to the Jedi and he calls himself the one in the middle.
Okay.
And at some point he finally obviously sides with the rebels and like just starts making lightning strike all over the place. So there is precedent for it. Maybe not as a Force ghost, and yeah, I don't know. But it's happened.
Okay, so then do you want to talk about uses of the Force in this movie that were new? Because there were a few.
Well, okay, let's go through them.
Okay, we can start with Leia.
Oh, God, we haven't talked about Leia yet. This is the other scene that I feel like is going to be really divisive for people. For so many reasons, too. Ugh. Okay.
It's hard not to get emotional about this
It's just like... Okay, here was my... Early in the movie, you see Kylo Ren and his TIE fighters come in. He doesn't kill her. He opts not to, but then his henchmen do, or whatever. And it's like, I don't know, maybe in the first half hour.
Yeah, it's early.
Yeah, and like, I anticipated Princess Leia dying, mostly just because Carrie Fisher died. It's like, you can't have her in the next movie, so why not just make it this really powerful death?
Right.
In this movie.
And I think if they had that happen, it would have been in such a way that you would have had the ability to have Kylo almost do it, to have his henchmen do it instead, and then sort of add that to this layering idea of...
Of like, where do his loyalties lie, or what is his goal?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so that's almost what they did. And it was so early, because I anticipated that being almost like the climax of the movie, very much the same way Han Solo was.
Right.
But man, it happens, and I was like, oh my God, they went for it.
Right.
Like, I was like, wow. Like, they're not messing around, just boom. And part of me was like, really impressed. Like, dang. And then they cut away to like another scene, and I'm like, now, I feel like maybe we could have gotten some closure or something there. And then they cut back to her, like, floating in space, and I'm like, okay, here it is.
Right.
Here's the... Leia floats into space, and they play the sad music, and you're like, the spark is gone, Leia, the hope.
Right.
And it's sad,
and then they do something very weird.
And then then Leia, they see her hand twitch, and you're like, no, you're not going to do that, are you? And oh, do they do it?
They do it.
Even if they had just like had her hand twitch, and then that was the last you saw of her for the whole movie, I think I would have been like, whoa, that would have been cool. Like, then you have this like fun "is she dead" debate.
Right.
But no, then
that would have been perfect, because then if you have her, like, if there's any way to have a scene where she returns in Episode 9, people's heads would explode.
Right, that'd be
like,
great. But
that would be so. They have her like float through space.
They have her like space wizard through space, and like it's just they've never really shown Leia to have any force power other than to sense Han or Luke. Like in Empire, Luke reaches out to her and she tells him to go back and get him. In The Force Awakens, Han dies and you can visibly see her like physically feel pain because of it.
Right. That's
it.
Right.
And this was like her using force powers to literally pull herself through. It was just, and it's kind of impressive. It gives like a little bit of, this is why everyone pays attention to Leia kind of thing, or like trusts her. But one, I didn't like that they did it, and two, I didn't like the execution of it. Like it looks stupid. I'm just gonna say it. It looked dumb.
I think that's about as concise as you could put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something where like I walked out of the movie, and I would actually even say probably following that scene is like when I really started being very like into the movie, I think for the remainder of it. But yeah, that was a weird scene.
And to what end do they do this? Like, then it's not like she comes back and it's like, okay, good, she's back, we're back in control. It's like she's alive, but then still not present for most of the movie. Like, except all it does is create this tension for Poe or whatever. And then later, when Holdo is like, someone has to stay behind and pilot the ship, I'm like, clearly you've just developed this Holdo character, like the whole movie, and she's offering to do this to like obviously commit suicide or to sacrifice herself to the cause.
Right.
Again, movie, Carrie Fisher is dead. So this is a great opportunity for her to be the sacrificial lamb.
Pass the baton.
Yeah, pass the baton to this Holdo character. Let Leia even light speed through the ship, which was awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah, so, all right, and that's the thing. I actually think Holdo will be a very popular character. I think people will very much like who she is and what she represented and how she kind of like goes out of it very much a hero. But the light speeding through the ships was like this awesome moment. And I loved that there was no sound.
Oh yeah, the sound, so much happens all at the same time. When that happens, that's right when they're about to execute Finn and Rose. It's right when the lightsaber breaks and the ship crashes through.
Right.
Everything sort of like peaks at the same moment.
Right.
It was a really cool scene. I loved it.
Yeah.
I think I've heard some people say like, well, people are going to be light speeding through. Why haven't they done this before? I'm like, no. It was cool.
Yeah, I think it was perfectly cool. And I mean, to ever in the past have suggested even that like, oh, why didn't they just like light speed into the Death Star? For one, I think the Death Star is way bigger.
Yeah.
Also, it is not like a mobile ship in the same way in that it's, it can be more protected from something like that.
It's mostly armor.
Yeah.
Your planet can't escape the Death Star, And
right.
no matter how slow it moves, the Death Star will get there.
I'm coming. And at any point in time, how can you give up such a resource as a ship on purpose? Like
especially for the Resistance, who has loses their like. You see, most of their fleet get destroyed.
That was their last one.
Yeah, that was their last ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, on that note though, we talked about there's the moment with Finn and Phasma.
Oh man, okay.
So who wins this prediction? I said I thought we would see Phasma.
I thought it said Finn would lose.
I think I said, though, that we would see Phasma helmetless.
Oh, I think I said that Phasma would get hit in the face and we would see some of her face.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, we might have to review the notes on that.
We might have to. I can't remember exactly. Here's what I will say. I think, for sure, Phasma wins the fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. The fact that Finn happened to fall backwards on something that happened to be lifting up was a smidge lucky.
Yeah. Smidge.
A smidge. Okay.
And the fact that Phasma then happens to be laying on something that falls into fire.
Right. Okay, so there's the question.
Is Phasma dead? She looked pretty dead last time. Was not. And they give you a brief like demonstration of her armor's capabilities moments before it happens.
They do.
One of the coolest, that was like blink and you miss it things. Rose like shoots her and she goes bing, and she doesn't even like flinch. It's like, did something hit me? Yeah.
Right.
That was good.
It's a very, very neat little setup for it. So I would not be entirely convinced that we have seen the end of Phasma, but I definitely think that that's probably like a 51-49.
Right.
Predictor
It
split
could
at the
be.
moment.
She could be gone. I want her to come back again. I want her to be this like unkillable man. The fight where she to call it a fight is like laughable. She just floors Finn.
Yeah.
I mean, she. Oh my gosh, Gwendolyn Christie is so tall.
So tall.
She like
Towers.
just towers over him. It like she is. It's a really intimidating.
Yes.
Looking fight. It's like so often in movies you'll have like this big guy and this little guy, and it's like, oh, here's how the little guy uses it. This was just the big guy is bigger.
Yes.
And this is how fights normally go.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. It was neat to see Phasma do something other than walk around with a blaster and good posture.
The good posture.
On the note of Finn though, so Finn obviously gets out of that situation. We see him down on Crate. The scene where Finn, now we're in like where all the AT-ATs and the big battering blaster is kind of coming out the big door.
The old Death Star tech.
I would have been perfectly okay with that being Finn's send-off.
I actually would have too, and I like as they were doing it. This is again like when I thought they had killed off Leia, I was like so impressed. Like they went for it. Like they show you all the little speeders turn around except Finn.
It's
so
a
the
sweet shot too.
Yeah. And there's literally no way. First of all, that Rose turns around and like manages to knock him off course. That's
Right.
some BS right there. But that's what happened. But like in the moment, you're like, there is no way. Like this is gonna be it. This is gonna be Finn's like they're going to kill him off, which is like so unexpected because he's like one of the big three in this new franchise. And I was like, they're going for it. Oh my gosh, this is wow.
Yeah.
Like wow.
Like-
and then the fake out.
The fake out. Yeah.
I was so prepared to be like incredibly impressed with that writing move.
Honestly, I think this movie could have gone way differently, and it could have worked like with what they were even setting you up, like where you have Holdo sort of coming into this like she looked awesome. The character was very cool, and you kind of have like Leia stepping out. She's clearly got like a lot of good leadership abilities. It's like you can have that.
Yeah,
transition.
you get that switch.
Leia's death does a lot of stuff for Kylo Ren. Same with Finn, where it's like you've got this character who is just like purely underpowered, like to be significant in the scheme of things. Like,
Yeah,
and
like-
it's not that I don't like Finn as a character. It's just he was born and raised as a stormtrooper.
Right.
He unless they're gonna give us more about his backstory, there's not some type of like spectacular
Talent that he's bringing
Right.
to the Resistance,
Right.
Other than like wondering where Rey is,
which he's
you know,
good at.
Oh, he is good at it.
Man, he cares so much. So there was the Faye conversation. Is there a story arc between Finn and Rey? Seems like they went through and wanted to kind of cut that out and make sure that wasn't a thought that people were having with Rose. Thoughts on that? Was that surprising? Were you excited? Happy? Was it needed?
I didn't really want Finn and Rey to be a thing, so and then when Rose saves Finn and kind of tells him she loves him, or that's what you do for the people you love, I guess maybe it doesn't
Right.
specifically say I love you,
Right.
but then she kisses him, so
It's a big statement there,
big
Rose.
statement there. I'm okay with that. I'm cool with those two being a couple and sort of being a duo. I liked Rose as a character. I think people said that character was going to be just one of those that like the performances was like, oh my god, she's so good.
Right.
I mean, she wasn't bad. I wasn't like, man, how about Rose?
Right. It was sort of like somebody overhyping ice cream from somewhere. It's like it's not like you were upset with the ice cream, but like maybe the ice cream wasn't like mind blowing.
Right.
Ice
Sure.
cream.
Sure. She was still very good. I don't want to like go into more. And I think she offers a lot. I think she offers a lot in the way of like in the casino scene, drawing you a greater picture of what's happening in the galaxy. I thought this was a minor complaint, but how is she able to fly the ship at the end? Like how is she even controlling one of the speeders? Like she says she works behind pipes all day.
Yeah, but then she was also flying what we thought was DJ's ship at first. It seems like in some way, shape, or form, and I actually saw that I think there is a novelization more about Rose that refers to her squadron as like the Cobalt Squadron or something like that.
Okay.
So I think even it's, and actually I'm going to come back to Finn here in 1 second, but I think it's one of these where maybe her like job on base was to do certain lower end things, but then also still a pilot in some capacity, which brings me back to Finn, who just like, for someone who mopped floors and worked in sanitation, how does he know so much about everything?
I don't know.
It's like they know that you've got this character that used to be over here and is now planted in with the good guys, and like therefore he becomes this like bank of knowledge of all crypto coded every hour. You know, I know exactly which room to go in because I used to mop the floor in there. It's like,
did you?
For real? Because I feel like you have droids to mop the floor.
Oh my gosh, totally random thing. BB-8, when he is under the box and he mimics the sound of the floor droids.
Yes.
That was hilarious. Whoever thought of that, well done. I love that though.
BB-8 just I still love BB-8 as a character. And at the end when Poe, he's like, "Where's my droid?"
He gives him the belly rub.
He gives him the belly rub.
That was great.
You could just tell that they've got such an awesome relationship.
They do. Yeah, BB-8 was getting a little maybe overpowered in this movie where he's like taking over AT-ATs and tying up guards off camera.
Yes, the AT-ST scene was one that felt like it was ripped right out of the deleted scenes from like Revenge of the Sith or something.
Sure.
It's like
R2 flying around. You're like,
are we sure R2-D2 didn't do this same thing? You're stealing his thing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was I was not a fan of the AT-ST. There just could have been, that could have even been another opportunity. I thought it was gonna be DJ actually.
It could have even just been Rose. You know, it was an opportunity for someone to save Pin.
Right.
Or, I don't know.
But they do a thing with that again. So like you see BB-8 driving the AT-ST, and it's like sprinting when.
Yeah, you've never seen them do that.
It's
before.
like normally they're like.
Yeah. Very wobbly walkers.
Right. Wobbly walkers.
Wobble walkers. Wobble walker.
In layman's terms. Let's see here. Okay, so. Another thing I was, well, should we talk Rey? Well, I think we've actually talked about Rey. We haven't really talked
about Rey very much. She seems like, oh boy, where to even begin? I like her. She kind of takes her training into her own hands. She starts playing with the lightsaber there.
Yes.
When Luke is talking to her though, he says like, "You immediately went to the dark side." You know, like immediately, didn't even question it. And then later, she actually does go down that hole. What did you make of her like infinity mirror scene?
Didn't like it.
Didn't like it?
Nope.
Okay.
I thought that to me felt like one of those moments where it's like where like the people making the movie were very aware of the question everybody's been asking about the movie, and then they were like I'm gonna dangle it in front of you. Nope. I'm just kidding. I'm not giving it to you now. It's like.
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about her parents. That's sort of the question you get.
That is the question. Is are they really no one?
Are they really no one? So it's is it like a misunderstanding, kind of like it was with Luke and Kylo, or are they actually no one and Rey is just Rey? Luke, I think it definitely kills Luke being her father, or Han or Leia being her father.
Don't think that's the case.
Don't think it's Del or Iden, who we made a video about. I think we might meet Del and Iden's actual daughter early on. I think she dies in the opening battle.
I think she does. Yeah, it looked a lot like who character
was in the
should be.
Trailer.
Yeah.
But yeah, they dangle that in front of you. They say it's like Luke says it offered you something you wanted or something you needed,
right?
And then when you go down there, that you discover what that thing was, and it was like what became of your parents or something, was what the dark side was like offering her.
Sure.
And then it like shows her the two shadows and they merge and it's one, and then it's just a reflection of Rey. And it's like, what does that mean? Like just that.
That's a theory.
Or is that just like you're alone?
It's a theory to be decided later, and it could be further suggestion that her parents were no one, and Rey. Rey needs to stop thinking that who her identity is based on her lineage, and it's based on who Rey has created herself into being.
Basically exactly what Kylo Ren tells her. Like, you need to stop looking back. You need to forget the past. Forget it all.
Right.
And she's like, we have to go help them. No, you're still remembering. Oh, he's all angry at her.
Kylo does that sometimes.
He does. He gets very angry very fast. Oh, I love how Hux is sort of like trying to mock him unsuccessfully over and over when he gets baited into all of the easiest, like, Battlefield 101 tactics of the Resistance. Like, the Millennium Falcon, one ship comes in against their 30 TIE fighters, and he's like, all fighters! Destroy that ship, and it's like, or don't. Like,
hey, they have one of them. 3 guys, go chase that guy.
Yeah. Or 3, exactly.
Right.
And then when Luke walks out and he's like, I want every gun we have pointed at that man.
Right.
That was pretty funny.
Okay.
Do you think you got him?
Right. So then
No, you didn't.
that brings to the table the last question of new Force abilities that we've seen in this movie that we haven't seen before and were pretty dang powerful and critical to the plot of the story, which is this like
astral projection of Luke's across the galaxy.
And like to the point where like Luke is able to interact with Leia and come into the base, and like I mean even just like his knowledge of the location itself, and then to be able to kind of go out there. One thing I did notice about it that I thought was really cool is on the second pass they do not touch lightsabers one time in that final battle. So at any point in time the gag would have been given away had they.
He just like dodges them all.
He just keeps kind of like Matrix dodging them.
I'm not sure what Kylo Ren thinks. How he thinks Luke dodged the hailstorm of laser fire to begin with.
See, and that was my immediate thought when I saw that, and then like Luke walks out and does like that was another Mark Hamill moment where I was like,
Luke wouldn't do that.
Luke, stop. But I was afraid that if Luke was actually there and he had somehow been able to like put up a force field around his body that was able to withstand 35 AT-ATs all shooting him at the same time, I would have been bothered by that until I got the reveal that he wasn't actually there. I'm not especially bothered by his ability to have done this.
I'm really not either. I mean, especially because it was apparently such a difficult feat to do this that it like
it's his final task.
It like literally drains the life out of him, and I'm not sure. I guess maybe that's my interpretation. I don't know if Luke can just.
I think Luke
gives himself over to the Force.
That is my interpretation of it.
Okay. Okay then. Is that what Obi-Wan does then?
I think it's what Obi-Wan and Yoda do.
Okay. I can see that. So it's not Darth Vader hitting Obi-Wan at all then. He just literally is like...
I think he does it in the same simultaneous moment. And I think that's why we don't see... Like, every other person you've ever seen killed in the Star Wars universe is cut in half. They lose an arm, whatever. Obi-Wan disappears. I think Yoda is using the Force to keep himself alive, and when he fades, he
does fade. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right. Okay.
So I think we will see Luke as a Force ghost. And,
definitely.
Yeah. So I think he will hopefully be more of a mentor.
That would be great.
Okay, so last and final thing that I want to touch on is the very last moment we see in the entire movie. One of the little boys who I believe we saw at the casino.
Yeah. He's the one, because it's the one Rose takes the ring and shows him to.
Yes, and he's got it on. We see him walk out. Force pull the broom.
Force pulls the broom, and then they give you a shot very reminiscent of the Phantom Menace posters, where you would see young Anakin with the Darth Vader shadow.
That was... The Phantom Menace did one thing right. It was their movie poster.
And it was their movie poster, and it was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. And they kind of give you... That's what it reminded me a lot of. But it's obviously meant to look like, this little boy's holding a lightsaber.
Yes.
In his shadow. I know.
Actual chills right now.
And it's very Anakin Skywalker-y. So the question is that boy in particular significant? Or is it just that's the spark, here's these kids playing with their homemade Luke Skywalker action figures, and one of them's Force sensitive. The fact that they gave him that ring, I feel like
That's how you're gonna be able to
That's
identify the
how they
character.
can recast him as an older person and still have it, and that's how you'll know.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
absolutely. And
For sure.
And on that note, it makes me wonder how far into the future episode 9 will be. I hope it's a while so that we can have like some transgression. Because if it's like 6 months later and the rebellion is all of a sudden this huge like army again, it's like resistance. I keep saying rebellion. That would be so frustrating. It's like things can't happen that fast. It's a big galaxy.
So you think like episode 9 could be like another 20 years or something at past? I don't think that little boy will be important to episode 9. I think he's more like the future of Star Wars potential.
And I don't think 20 years into the future. I just think into the future.
Okay.
Into the future more than like a few months.
Okay.
Something else will have changed. We will have like there will have been battles. There will have been uprisings. There will have been things that have happened.
Okay. Other thing that the last thing I want to talk about is the lightsaber breaks.
Yes.
You know.
The lightsaber.
The lightsaber. The Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, Rey saber.
Yeah.
Okay. Two things.
Does Kylo Ren?
I didn't get it. That's why almost I want to see the whole movie again so I can look at the one scene where where Kylo Ren picks up his lightsaber. Did he already have it? Because that means that one, it was Luke who found it again, probably.
Right.
And that two, in The Force Awakens, when he says that lightsaber, it belongs to me. It literally does. And I'm thinking about the chills right there. Like, that's so cool. But I just didn't see the hilt very well, and I don't know.
You can't see it super well. And that same lightsaber is the lightsaber that Luke was holding at the end when he appears in the... So the green lightsaber apparently does not exist.
You're right, yeah. What became of that is interesting, too. That's a good question.
Yeah.
That is a good question. And so, Kylo should have known immediately that something was askew because Luke was using that lightsaber, and Kylo himself was part of breaking that lightsaber. That should have tipped you, the audience, off too.
It could have. Could and should have.
If you.
So it's a good question. I actually do believe that Kylo trained using that lightsaber.
I do too. I do think it was his.
I
need a second look, but just at a glance, I think that's what happened.
So yeah, next question: what color do you think it'll still be blue? Does the kyber crystal dictate the color?
Oh. Okay, so this is the interesting thing. You know, the movie's ending. They're like the whole resistance is on the Millennium Falcon, and Leia is talking to Rey, and she says what do we do now? And she says we've got everything we need right here. And like, I know she's talking about the whole crew, but I feel like the camera wants you to look at the revealed kyber crystal she's holding, and like that lightsaber's not dead. That crystal's not dead.
Oh no, definitely
that thing is coming back. They showed you that crystal for a reason.
Yes.
And maybe Rey gets to make her own now out of it. I guess
it's a rite of passage for the Jedi.
That's true. So yeah, it'd be good if she makes her own. What would Rey's lightsaber look like? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Would it just be blue again?
Elegant.
No maybe. Doubt. Oh my gosh, is it gonna be? They could introduce a new color. They could make it like another dark saber. They could make it. They can make it white.
White would be
There's
cool.
options. What if it's red? Oh, that'd be crazy. That doesn't seem likely, but
yeah. Okay, so overall rating of the movie. What do you give it out of 10?
Out of 10, I'm gonna go with 8.7.
That is actually higher than mine.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Upon walking out of the theater, I think I was a little bit higher, and then the more I've analyzed it in my head, the number that keeps coming back to me over and over and over again is 8.2.
8.2?
Yes.
Okay,
so not dramatically lower, but still lower.
Okay.
It doesn't beat The Force Awakens for me. The Force Awakens is still my favorite Star Wars movie.
I would agree with you. The Force Awakens is also still my favorite Star Wars movie. I don't think The Last Jedi is better than it. I don't know where it ranks in my overall list.
It'll take more.
It's going to take more time for that to settle in. I think it was better than Rogue One.
Thought it was better than Rogue One.
Yeah.
Yep. But, so I guess, guys, for our question of the day, what did you think? Was there anything that you spot that we didn't talk about? Be sure to leave every single thought you have in the towel section down below.
If there's anything you'd like us to explore further in a later SCB video, let us know. And I'm sure we have lots to talk about with Star Wars, I'm sure.
Yeah, this is not done yet.
We are not done.
Okay. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.